He's the man behind the creation of the Ghost Face Killer and, of course, the Scream franchise. You guys, ahead of the Scream 7 release, I'm so excited to be speaking with director and creator Kevin Williamson. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. So just kind of tell me what's like the origin story of Scream? How did this all kind of begin for you? Where did maybe the influence come from?
Well, I wanted to I wanted a job. I was so broke and I was trying to also get kickstart my career. But I also love horror films. I've loved them since a kid. They were sort of my escape growing up in a small town. And we were in a rut in the 90s. All those wonderful slasher films of the 80s were over and they weren't making horror movies anymore. So I sat down to write the movie I wanted to see. And I'm someone who has seen all the horror movies, so I know all the tricks, and I know and a lot of all my friends had too, and I thought, "What happens if we tell that story?" Someone has seen who has seen all the movies, what do they do when they're caught up in one? And that's where we sort of came up with the premise of someone has taken their love of scary movies too far, and that was the tagline for the first film. And so we tried to keep that alive through seven installments.
Yes, 7 installments later. And I think it's interesting you say that too, because I love that idea of like, if it's not already out there, if someone hasn't made it, just do it yourself, right? Someone's got to start that. Now, it's interesting because you kind of teased us there a second ago, but if you look at your body of work, a lot of it kind of falls within either the horror or thriller or supernatural genres. So, what fascinated about you then and what continues to fascinate it now? Because we're 20 years into the Scream franchise.
I don't know if I have a full answer for that because I think some of it is just my thing, I don't know how horror became my happy place,
Mm.
but it was sort of, growing up as a kid in a small town and, I found an escape in that. I identified with the final girl, Jamie Lee Curtis was my hero. I felt like, as a kid growing up, you're always scared, you're always running from something, you're always hiding from something, and I was very much a final girl in my small town. So I connected to the horror genre, and I do love it. I love things that go bump in the night. I love to be scared. I still get scared. I'm a big scaredy cat. You don't want to sit next to me in the movie theater, and because I will jump. But it's just been it was my gateway drug into the business.
Yeah, I love the nuances of how that kind of ties back to maybe your own personal life. And I will say too, I'm also the jumpiest person ever. My wife laughs at me every time we're in the theater. So there's that. Now, what's it been like for you getting to work with some of the same actors film after film, like most notably Neve Campbell? And then, of course, there's been a lot of new faces incorporated along the way.
Oh, yes. I mean, we've been so fortunate to have a terrific cast through all of the films, and, having Nev back, we're old friends. We've known each other since 30 years, and Courtney, I've also known her, and so it was like coming home again, and we got to bring some OGs back along with the new cast, and, it was just a lot of fun. They're very fun to make, these movies, and I don't
They're
know if
good at
people
doing
know.
it. How would you say the stakes are elevated in Scream 7?
Well, it's very personal this time. It's truly about family. It's about a mother and daughter who are trying to connect in a personal way because Sydney's a little shut down when it comes to her past, and her daughter, wants to know about it. And so it's her daughter doesn't have the information. Her daughter doesn't know what her mother went through personally. She doesn't know. She read all the books, she saw the stab movies, but she doesn't know what really happened. And so, what happens when Ghostface comes calling to a daughter who is the exact same age she was when it all started? It really is a true mother and daughter story. And they're thrown into peril when a Ghostface does come calling. And it's just a very personal story. And it's also allows us to move the franchise forward.
Yeah, yeah, which I love. And speaking of moving the franchise forward, I'm curious, like I said, we're 20 years in. How many more Scream films do
30
you feel like
years
you have
in,
left in you?
30, we're 30 years in.
30 years in. My heavens. Okay, well, my math was way off when I checked. But anyways, 30 years in, how many more do you feel like you have left in you?
Well, I think, it takes a village. So, I'm not an island. I have so many other people who now who with a love of this franchise that participate in it. We have, and so we have great writers and producers. And I think as if there's a call for this, if the audience continues to love the franchise and want another movie, we'll always make it.
Okay, you'll always make it. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. For those watching, get your tickets now and check out Scream 7 in theaters everywhere.